Hey guys, back again this week with another Fuji Talk video, and this week I'm having Michter's Straight Rye Whiskey. It's a single barrel, it goes for about $45 here in Michigan, and it gets a lot of good reviews, and I just think it's okay. Definitely not worth the $45 price tag. If I compare it to, let's say, Old Forester 100 proof rye whiskey, I think that one is better and about half the cost. Definitely not a drain pour, but I won't be picking this up again. Now, Michter's does make a special one. I think it's called a toasted barrel proof rye, and it gets really, really good reviews. But that one I probably won't see. If I do, I'll pick it up. But definitely not too bad. So what are we talking about today, guys? We're talking about the XH2 again. Why? Mostly because there's really nothing else out there. There's some new rumors, well, non-rumors, I should say, and we'll talk about that in a second. But there's not really much to add. What I did this week, guys, is I put a few things down of what I think Fuji will do come May. May, this camera, or these cameras, are supposed to be released because that is the 10th anniversary of the X mount. And this one has been rumored to be the next real big camera release now for a while. COVID's changed things, it delayed things, but I think May we'll see it. I don't know if it'll drop in May. I think they'll announce it, and who knows when we're gonna see it. There's a lot of cameras that have been back ordered forever, like the X100V and some others. They just, I don't know, supply chain issues, who knows what. But this non-rumor, as I stated, is this one will not have active cooling. Now, there was some speculation it'll have a fan-based anode or heat sink. This won't have it, but they're still saying that we'll have two bodies and one will be the S type. And I think this is going to be a take on Sony. Fuji, I don't like where they're going with this, but they'll have the 40 megapixel. This is my opinion. Well, actually, let me pause for a minute and we'll get to what I think it will be in just a second. But really no more, and this is from the Fuji rumor site. I'll leave a link down in the description. 8K, you know, they're boasting 8K. There's just some specs here. The cost will be less than $2,500, and they keep on saying that's a big deal. Yeah, I think that's a big deal because I think it's too much damn money. And it'll be in 2022. New sensor, yeah, basically all the same stuff we already know. But this video is more about what I think it will be and what I hope Fuji does, but I don't think they'll do it. So let's get into it. Now, it's pretty concrete that there will be two bodies, the XH2 and the XH2s. And I believe they're going to take a card out of the Sony playbook with the Sony A7S and whatever their high resolution camera is. I forget which model that is, where they have that separation. I don't like it because the whole point of the XH series was supposed to be a hybrid camera. Now they're trying to split it. They're saying this is going to be the professional line, and this is just my speculation, right? They haven't announced this camera or anything. These are just rumors and my speculation. Is they want to have a higher resolution camera, but they can't really do it for other reasons than the lower. I mean, faster video, stuff like that. So I think they'll both be the body change. I think it'll be bigger than the XH1, but I'm sorry, smaller than the XH1, but larger than the XT4. I just think the XH1 was too big. It really was. For a crop sensor, just too much there. So here's what I think they'll do as far as the split. The regular XH2, it'll be your portrait and landscape for the 40 megapixel. Anybody that needs that, you know, that retouching or just that landscape, bigger picture stuff. But, and then the 8K video. There's rumors about 8K video. I think this camera will have it because 8K, you need that higher megapixel in order to get 8K. I don't think it'll be good 8K. I don't think it'll be more of a gimmicky, very short burst. It'll have time limitations. It'll probably have pixel bending and all of that. I think it's just more of a spec, but it's not probably really usable other than quick burst clips. The autofocus will be improved, but not where I think it should be, but it'll be improved, and it'll have more professional buttons, meaning more buttons and the grip like the XH1, where it's faster if you're using it for like a wedding. See, this is where I get a little mixed feelings on this, because what I think the camera, what people would want it for, I don't think they're building the camera. But this is how I think they're going to do it, because 40 megapixel sensors, too much for a wedding photographer. And if you're shooting high-end portrait, you're not probably going to grab a crop sensor Fujifilm. You're probably not, right? But that's how I think it'll go. The XH2s I think is a little bit more interesting. And this one's going to be for video and high-speed action. I think this will also be the camera that anybody that's doing professional photography at like weddings and other event type of photography. Again, you want that fast, you want that 26 megapixel range, and it'll be a 26 megapixel backside illuminated stack sensor, really fast readouts. I don't think it'll have a mechanical shutter. I think it will have 4K 20 that is just really, really good. Maybe even no crop, zero crop at all. No rolling shutter, or very, very small rolling shutter, if at all. I think their buffer is going to be limitless. I think the recording times will all be removed, and improved autofocus. I think this thing will be a pretty good solid camera, and an upgrade from any of the current Fujifilm cameras. But I just don't know if it's going to be enough to compete at that top tier, my opinion. You know, if you're competing the S with the Sony A7S, I don't know if you're going to pull out enough stops and be able to compete, given the price range. Now, if you have, let's say, this camera selling for sub 2000s, you got maybe some people looking, especially at the 4K 120, and if you really improved IBIS. Because here's the things that I think they need to do in order to compete. I think they need to do a built-in ND filter. It's a bigger body, and I'm no engineer or anything, but if anybody could pull it off, that big body of the smaller sensor, maybe this is the camera to do it in. You don't see that in any of the other cameras, the Sonys, the Canons, at least I don't remember any of them, unless you get to the higher end video, strictly video cameras. Now, if you put an ND filter in here, that would be awesome. Better ISO. You know, I've been hoping and wishing for this for a long time. I just don't think they're going to do it, but I think they need to in order to stay competitive. The next one on the list is IBIS. Again, these aren't anything new that I haven't said before, but they need to prove IBIS, especially in the video side. The photography, not so much, but the video, if you have a really solid competitor that somebody could walk around and handhold video, gimbal-like video, yeah, that would be a huge selling feature over, let's say, Sony. Because really, you know, if you got an XH2s, you're really gunning for the Sony, the people that are, you're losing clientele because of the Sony A7S III. Autofocus. And I think it'll be better, but it has to be on par in video autofocus with Sony and Canon. I don't know how you can compete. Now, I've been going back and forth, if you watch some of my previous videos, of buying a second camera. And I use my iPhone and my iPad to shoot video for YouTube, but I would like to be able to use a real decent camera with a decent lens. And none of my cameras, Fujifilm, that really could pull it off. And I could buy the cheapest M50, that's the one I had, and the autofocus was unbelievable. Same thing with Sony. You can buy the cheapest Sony, and it's got unbelievable autofocus in video. In order to stay relevant, in order to stay competitive, they have to. Fuji has to. Even if they have to come out with a couple different lenses, which I don't know if the lenses, even some of the newer lenses, they have the newer motors, linear motors, and all this other stuff, but they still are subpar, like way subpar in the video autofocus realm. So that's my take, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys are thoughts around this, and leave in the comments. And what do you think? What do you think Fuji's going to do? This one's got me thinking really hard, and this is the best that I could come up with. And if next week, if I come up with something else, I'll give another video and tell you my thoughts and how they've changed. Love to hear what you guys think. Thanks again for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.